After last week's disappointing effort from the Detroit Lions defense, they're now going to get themselves a chance at redemption against a very weak Raiders offense. The question is, can they actually do it and actually reestablish themselves? We're going to talk about it in today's episode, folks, so stay tuned. It started with an owner who had a last name fans despised, hiring a coach that the experts thought was crazy.
But I got a plan, I swear to you.
Who traded for a QB that was said to be washed up. They said the Detroit Lions would never amount to anything, that it would always be the same old Lions. But this team, our team, has a new identity, defined and expressed by the crazy head coach.
Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and three toes, I will beat your ass.
Led by the QB that nobody thought was good. Motor City Mania is in full swing and ready to start. So join the show and be prepared for kneecap biting, because Motor City Mania starts right now. Hello everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and we're diving in right now. As always, to those that are coming back to the show, I just want to say thank you all for coming back. Thank you all for your support, your view, your patronage. And to those that are new to the show, I just want to say welcome on in. Hopefully you guys all enjoy the content, and hopefully I gain your subscription if I've earned it and deserved it. And I just want to say thank you all for giving my show a shot. And as always, I want to say to everybody, God bless. Let's dive into the content. So here's the thing, folks. Much like I said in my previous episode about, the Lions offense not exactly having a really good game, well, let's be fair here. The Lions defense against the Ravens didn't have a good game either. In fact, it had a worse game than the Lions offense. But again, as I said in that previous episode, it was terrible all around here. But this is a game that the Lions defense really is going to be looking for a chance to redeem themselves, is really going to look forward for a chance to have that moment to kind of get themselves back again on the right track. Because again, the Lions defense, it pretty much took a shellacking against the freaking Ravens. There's no doubt about that one. But let's consider this. The Raiders offense has been pretty much the most dysfunctional, one of the most dysfunctional and one of the most inconsistent offenses the entirety of the year. And the stats back it up, the film backs it up, it's just a point of fact. The Raiders offense is just virtually not there most times. And again, when you take a look at the stats I'm about to put up right now for the Raiders offense, you're going to see exactly what I'm seeing. Points-wise, they're tied 25th in the league. Yards-wise, they're ranked 21st. Turnovers, they have the worst turnovers. They have the worst amount of turnovers in the league. They're dead last, which means they turn over the ball more than anybody else. They're ranked 15th in passing yards. They're only top 16 ranking out of anything. They're ranked 29th in rushing yards, which with Josh Jacobs, that is almost unbelievable to believe. And then you take a look at their rushing average, dead last in the league. Their scoring drive percentage, tied 22nd. And their turnover percentage, again, absolute worst in the league. This is an offense that literally cannot help but give the ball to opposing defenses, and at the same time, it can't hardly run, if at all. And again, that's with one of the best running backs in the league with Josh Jacobs. So, this is an offense that virtually is, as I said, dysfunctional. It can't really operate. It doesn't have the ability to do much of anything. And again, think about this, folks. I know that a lot of people are trying to tell me, hey, you know what? We need to kind of calm down on, getting after Aaron Glenn and the defense. But it's like, listen, folks. When you take a look at the stats of what they were before the Ravens game, they were actually kind of like a fringe top 10 statistical defense. After the Ravens game, not even close, because as I'm about to show you all right here, these are the stats for the Lions defense as of right now. Points-wise, they're ranked 21st. Yards-wise, they're ranked 20th. Turnovers, tied for 15th. Passing yards, ranked 27th. Rushing yards, still ranked top 5. They're ranked 4th. Rushing average, tied for 7th. Scoring drive percentage, tied for 15th. And turnover percentage, they're ranked 13th. Again, we went from being a top 10 or near top 10 defense in 1 week to being at best an average to slightly subpar defense, at least statistically. So again, this is a defense's best game to kind of get themselves back on track. Because again, like I said, the Raiders offense is very dysfunctional. It doesn't really work that well. And again, it's very, it's kind of like a sputtering engine. Sometimes it catches and clicks, and a lot of other times it doesn't. And that's why we're going to kind of take a look at the Raiders offense in some film clips here. But again, there's a couple of things we need to take a look at with the Raiders before we kind of dive into all this, because there are some tendencies, there are some pieces of information that we can realistically take a look at when we take a look at the Raiders. Number one, you take a look at all of the games that the Raiders have played, which I talked about briefly in my previous episode. First and foremost here, all of the games that the Raiders have played in, except for 2, have been reasonably competitive. It's not like they've been getting blown out all the damn time. However, though, they're not exactly, again, going up against opposing offenses or defenses that are exactly top 10. Again, as far as I'm concerned, most of the opponents that they've gone up against, save one, which is the Bills, it's not exactly a great, team that you can actually say, hey, you know what, this is a team that's most likely going to make it to the playoffs. Because let's think about it. Broncos, probably not. Chargers, probably not. Steelers, probably not. And that's going to be pretty much the entire thing that you're going to hear all the way down to the Bears, which the Bears are definitely not. The only most likely playoff team that the freaking Raiders have played is the Bills. And like I said in my previous episode, the Bills absolutely spanked the ever-living hell out of the Raiders. So that's something that we should consider and we should keep in mind, number one. But also, here's something else. The Raiders are on the road as they come to Detroit this week to play at Ford Field. Well, here's the thing. The Raiders have lost 4 games. 3 out of the 4 games that the Raiders have lost have been on the road, which means to me, the Raiders don't play very well on the road. But at the same time, the Lions, they play really, really well at home. So that's number 2. Number 3 here. Again, like I kind of highlighted back in my previous episode as far as to the Lions offense, but again, looking at the Lions defense here, in that Bills game where the freaking Raiders got their asses handed to them, they had 3 turnovers in that game. And I just pointed out, this is a Raiders offense that is ranked dead last in turnovers and in turnover percentage, which means they turn the ball over more than anybody. It means this Lions defense will have plenty of opportunities to get turnovers against this Raiders offense, and it absolutely should be imperative that the Lions should at least get 2 types of turnovers, whether it's interceptions or fumbles. I don't care which it is, but the Lions have got to get turnovers against the Raiders. This is the worst offense in terms of turnovers. You absolutely have to get them. So, speaking on that note, we're actually going to take a look at some plays here that are actually going to show not only, 1, the dysfunctional nature of the Raiders offense, but also 2, the fact that this Lions defense should have opportunities to get turnovers against said Raiders offense. So without further ado, let's take a look at some of these plays here. Let's take a look at some of the film analysis that I found. Again, we're going to go back to the most recent game that the Raiders have played, which is the Bears. And again, the Bears don't have a really great defense. Again, the Bears defense has gotten a little bit better in the last couple of weeks, but their defense is still one of the worser ones in the NFL right now. But when you take a look at some of these plays, it's going to look like that, again, the Bears kind of got bailed out in some situations, and in others, the Raiders just gave them gimmies. So let's take a look at what I'm talking about here. So let's take a look at this first play. The Raiders are in a 2 wide receiver, 2 tight end, 1 running back formation. Now, take a look at what the Bears are running on defense. They're running a basic 4-3 defense with 2 high safeties. Now, when the ball is snapped for the Raiders and Brian Hoyer is the quarterback, the Raiders run what is known as a play-action concept here. Brian Hoyer decides to throw the ball quickly, and what happens is he tries to throw it to running back Josh Jacobs. The ball is behind Jacobs, and Jacobs is not able to get the ball. It goes right through his hands, what then results in a pick. It results in an interception. Now, as you've seen the play roll through now for at least 2 or 3 times, I want to show you all what is exactly wrong with what happened in that play rather than just showing it to you. Number 1, here's what makes this a fine example of the Raiders' inconsistent and ineffective offense, which again kind of just results in it being dysfunctional. Number 1, again, like I said, Brian Hoyer decided to throw that ball really quickly, right? But again, if you take a look at this still frame, as I'm about to show you, Brian Hoyer's not being pressured when he throws the ball. In fact, he's got a clean pocket. So Brian Hoyer rushed the throw, and he actually was not only rushing it, he threw it inaccurately because it was behind Josh Jacobs. But here's the other thing I want to show you from that exact same still frame. Notice who was open coming over the middle of the field. If freaking Brian Hoyer had just waited a half a second to a second longer, which he definitely had the time to do that, he would have noticed that his wide receiver, Jacoby Myers, was coming over the middle on a crossing route, and he was wide open. Because as you're going to see, there was nobody in the area if all all Hoyer had to do was just wait a half a second to a second longer, he could have had a really big play. So that's a huge missed opportunity that resulted in a turnover. So again, big play potential versus a turnover. That's a bad thing. That is very, very bad for an offense, because it's like, listen, you could have had a big play right there, but you decided to rush through your read, and you just decided to take the easy check down, and it resulted in a turnover. Not good at all. So that's the first play I wanted to show really quickly. Now, that was the first play. Let's take a look at this second play now. What you're going to see here is a backside formation view. So, what you're going to see is a strong eye formation. Now, I'm going to tell you this. There's not really much of a play here to actually analyze. This is more about looking at the nuts and bolts of offensive, an offense's ability to run a play. And this is what you call a play action concept. Now, everybody knows what play action is. You snap the ball, you fake the ball to the running back. This gets the safety and the linebackers to bite up on the fake run, opens up passing lanes for the tight ends and the wide receivers, makes everything a lot easier for throwing the ball. However, though, this is something that most quarterbacks and running backs, in my opinion, should know how to do almost with their eyeballs closed. But in this particular play, what you're about to see is anything but. So as the play runs through, what you're going to notice is Hoyer snaps the ball. But this play is screwed up from the very beginning. What happens? Hoyer opens up to his left. Well, as a quarterback, when you're opening up to your left, that usually means one of two things. You're either going to hand the ball off to the left side of the formation, or you're going to run the ball to the left side of the formation. The only exception to that rule is if somehow you're able to get the ball and transfer it to your other hand, so then that way you can do it to the right. But that doesn't often happen all that much. So, in theory, what you should be seeing is a play action or run fake to the left, which is exactly what Brian Hoyer is trying to do. But notice what the running back does, Josh Jacobs. He goes straight up the middle to the right. So, what happens here is the play action concept, the play action fake that was supposed to happen, it didn't happen. Because there was nobody there to execute the freaking play action fake because he went to the wrong side or Brian Hoyer opened up to the wrong side. I can't tell, but either way, it's pitifully executed because not only did they not fake they didn't do the fake to fake, they didn't fake anybody. It pretty much resulted in them getting a sack because, again, the whole purpose and point of a play action is to fake out the defense. But it's like, listen, you're not going to fake anybody if there's nobody there to even do the play action, fake concept. So for me, it was just like, dude, this is a simple concept that offenses run all the damn time. But if you can't even figure out how to do a play action fake, you're in trouble. So for me, this was just like, wow. So that was play number 2. Again, not really much of a play. It just, again, showed how this offense for the Raiders is like, dude, I don't even know how you can mess that up. That's almost as bad as fumbling the center snap, as a quarterback at least. Now, that was play 2. Let's take a look at play 3 here. For play 3, this is what we've got. We've got 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 running back. We're in the gun. What you're going to see here is a front side view of the play. Now, you're not going to see that it's in the gun, but it is in the gun because I was able to look at the play prior to it. But this is why I wanted to show you this. This is one of the very few times that this Raiders offense, is actually able to get into the red zone against the Bears in the game that they're playing. Now, I want you to see this. In this particular play, the Bears decide to actually go 1v1 in coverage against Davante Adams. Hoyer, the quarterback at the time, actually gets the ball out on a timely basis, and it's actually accurate. But here's what happens. Rather than this being a touchdown catch, Davante Adams, still one of the better wide receivers, one of the best wide receivers in the game, he drops a surefire touchdown grab. And again, when you take a look at how much space, number one, Adams had to get the feet down, and the fact that this hit him in the hands over the shoulder, this just, again, like I've been saying in this entire episode, it just shows how dysfunctional, how ineffective this Raiders offense is, and how it even affects the best offensive weapon, the best offensive player that the Raiders have. And this is even worse when you think about it because Josh McDaniel, the guy who's the freaking head coach of the freaking Raiders, he's supposed to be an offensive guru. So it's just like, dude, I don't know what's going on with the Raiders offense, but this is just yet further evidence to fuel the fire. Now, that was play number 3. Here's play number 4. And again, this is kind of like putting the final nail in the coffin here. Again, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 running back. We're in the gun. Like I said, this is the final nail in the coffin to show and point out just the dysfunctionality of this Raiders offense. what you're going to see is as Brian Hoyer snaps the ball, he's going to throw a ball deep. He's going to throw the ball deep, and it's an outward kind of curl pattern or an out pattern. Well, here's the problem with this kind of particular play. If you're going to throw a ball deep out, you got to make sure two things. Number one, you've got enough arm strength to get it out there. But also, number two, that you're not telegraphing the throw. Because what happens when you do that is exactly what happens in this play. You get picked off, which is exactly what happens to Brian Hoyer. Again, I've shown you all two plays where Brian Hoyer got picked off twice. And that's not even including the other pick that happened for the Raiders when they put Aiden O'Connell in. So the Bears got 3 turnovers just off of the Raiders' quarterbacks. And again, the Bears are not that great of a defense. But again, as you saw that play run through, again, like I said, Hoyer telegraphs the throw because as soon as he snaps the ball, his head does not leave Davante Adams' vicinity. The cornerback knows exactly where freaking Hoyer's going with this ball before Hoyer even lets it out of his hand. So that's number one. You're making it way too easy for this cornerback to know where you're going because you're letting your eyes tell that cornerback exactly where you're going with it. So that's number one. That's one of the problems that I have with that play. But also, number two, think about this as well. Hoyer missed 2 open guys that were underneath that he could have easily gotten the ball to, which is kind of ironic because earlier throughout the entirety of the game, because this was near the end of the game, Hoyer was taking checkdowns all over the place. But now, at the end of the game, he's trying to force passes deep. Granted, that's because they're behind, but it's like, listen, you should still want to take the safe route rather than giving the ball to the opposing team for them to score again. But again, Hoyer makes the mistake of trying to do this, pretty much trying to do too much on a play that he shouldn't have tried. And then the final thing I have a problem with is after the pick is actually established, after the cornerback of the Bears actually gets it, there's almost no effort by the Raiders to try and stop him. Davante Adams is the closest one. He pretty much tries for a moment and then he starts jogging. Brian Hoyer would have been the next closest guy. He kind of reacts very lately and again jogs for a little bit and then does nothing. In fact, the guy that gives the most effort to try and get the defender is an offensive lineman. So I'm just like, okay here. I'm getting a vibe that this Raiders offense not only is dysfunctional, but it really doesn't have a whole lot of heart. It really doesn't have a whole lot of invested interest in playing the game because it's like, listen, I don't care if you're down or not. You still try to make the play to stop the opposing team from scoring because I guarantee you this. Had that happened to the Lions, you'd have seen a whole bunch of guys trying to make that tackle to try and save the points. But the Raiders are just like, whatever, screw it. We've already lost. Doesn't matter. That's my whole point here. That shows, again, the dysfunctional nature of this Raiders offense. And again, to tie this all back to the Lions defense, this is a perfect game for that defense to get itself back on the right track here because when you have an offense like this that turns the ball over pretty much as if it was a fire sale, and then on top of that is very dysfunctional when they don't turn the ball over, this is a great opportunity for that Lions defense to be like, okay, let's go out there, let's get the win, let's make ourselves feel good about ourselves so that way we can go into the bye week, get healthy, get extra time to prepare for our next opponent. This is the type of game that you really look for as a coach because I don't want to call it a tune-up game because there's no such thing as in the NFL as a tune-up game. But this is a game that can really get yourself back on the right track with an opponent that should be very easy for you to handle. In theory. Again, any given Sunday. So again, hopefully my words don't come back to bite me in the butt. But again, from what I'm seeing on tape and what I saw the Bears do, I believe the Lions should be more than able to handle the Raiders offense. But we'll see what happens when Monday night gets here. But until that time, I just want to say thank you all for watching yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage y'all to do one of these 3 things or all 3 of them. Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If by chance you subscribed in the past and you forgot to do so at the time, or you just subscribed and you've not had a chance to do so, again, I highly encourage y'all, please, make sure you subscribe so that way, once you do subscribe, you also are able to turn on that bell notification icon that goes along with it. Again, subscription numbers are always going up, but we want to make sure we turn on that bell notification icon so that way you guys never miss any more content that I push out, so that way you guys are always in the know-how and know exactly when I got something new. I also encourage y'all, please, to share this Lions content with your Lions friends and family members. Share here on YouTube, Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it anywhere and everywhere you can with anybody and everybody that you can. Let's keep getting more people attached to the page. Let's keep getting more subscriptions so that way we can have better conversations about football and about the Detroit Lions. And with that having been said, folks, again, I just want to thank you all for your support, your view, your patronage. Thank you all for everything that you do. And for those that I hadn't gained a subscription yet, I hopefully did. And I'm so thankful to you whether or not you gave me your subscription. But I want to just say this. I want to say God bless. And until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.